The Lavalier Go by Rode is a quick, easy and professional and also cheap audio recording solution for you. The problem is mostly that if you have a phone, for example, the audio is often pretty bad. The only exception from this is if you record with your phone like this and you speak to the microphones in this distance. Why? Because less distance means for the microphones that your signal to noise ratio is a lot better. Now what this means in terms of audio recording in general is that if you have a phone or a camera, you probably need a microphone that is either a directional mic, meaning it sits on top of your camera and records only a certain direction. So basically think of a sound source as this. And the sound spreads into all different directions. And this is the microphone. So it takes sound from all the different directions. If you now have a directional mic, it only takes sounds from this direction, for example. And if this is the direction you are in, then that's good. So if you now want to record yourself, the first part is that you don't need stereo because your voice comes out of your mouth, and your mouth is kind of a mono source if you think about it, because it's one point in space. Therefore, you don't need stereo mics like these. So what is this video about? First, we take a look into why I bought the Lavalier Go by Rode. Second, we will discuss how to then use it. And third, we will compare it to the internal mics of the Galaxy S10, which I'm currently using, and also the Zoom H6, which I'm using for all the other videos I usually do, at least before I had this, because it's easier. So first, why did I get the Lavalier Go? For the longest time, I was quite resistant to the idea of having something like this, and I also didn't really have a solution. And then I finally researched it. Why? Because actually, I will be driving a lot of car in the next 2 days, and I think I could use the time to record some audio. The problem is, in the past, I had this as my main audio recording device, also in the car. And the problem with this is, it takes a lot of power. So therefore it has batteries, it has 4 AAA batteries, and then you plug it in, and sometimes the connection with the phone works, sometimes it doesn't. But you also need to have a mount for this. So in my studio, I do have a friction monitor arm, you could say. And this is a very good solution for the studio, also for recording videos like these, because the only thing I have to do is this gesture here. And I also have to turn it on. But when it comes to a more mobile approach, something like just a cable, a small cable, maybe in a pouch, is a much more portable solution and also a very nice solution if it just works. And so I, again, researched Lavalier mics, which is the name of these microphones. This is what they are called, Lavalier mics. And by Rode, there are a few different microphones available. The first one that is available is a microphone that is called the Lavalier Go. So in general, there are 2 types of microphones, of Lavalier microphones. The first ones are for plugging it directly into a phone. So if your phone still has a headphone jack, then what you need to plug in here are so basically you can plug both in. So the normal kind of cable to plug in here looks like this. It's called TRS, and I will actually try to focus on it right now. And this has 2 rings on it. And now the idea is that these 2 rings are basically providing you with stereo signals, so 2 signals. But when it comes to now also having an input, for example, for a microphone and listening to audio at the same time coming out of your phone, which is what a headset does, a classical headset, then you need 3 rings. You don't necessarily need 3 rings, and I'm not entirely sure about the signals on these 3 things, but this is a classical headphone, and this has 3 rings. So now the idea is this. You can either buy a Lavalier microphone that has 3 rings, so TRRS, or a Lavalier microphone that has 2 rings. And this is the decision you have to make. Advantages of TRRS. You can plug it directly into your phone and it will work. A TRS microphone won't work. But now if you compare it to a camera, for example, a camera doesn't have TRRS usually. So therefore, if you then have a TRS, you can very easily plug it into a camera or any other professional audio recording device like the Zoom H6, which actually has an input for an external microphone. And this is also, I assume, TRS. So now, if you buy a TRS, you need to have an adapter for your phone all the time, which adapts basically the normal TRS plug, the three rings, to your two different output devices, which are headphones and also the microphone. So it splits them apart. And now, I, for example, right now, am using this Lavalier mic, and it's a TRS Lavalier mic because it's the Go. The other ones, the TRRS microphones by Rode Lavalier mics, are called SmartLav and SmartLav Plus, actually. So these are basically the two options. Choose wisely, depending on how you record, but I choose the TRS because I also wanted to be able to input it into a professional audio device, or just in general. It's just a more professional microphone and not just dedicated to recording on your phone. So why did I now finally decide to buy something like this? Because of the car trip, because it doesn't really make sense to have something like this in a car, and therefore, it also looks a lot less suspicious. Recording in the car is, you can speak in a car. For example, if you have a speaker in the car that actually connects to your phone, you can talk on the phone in the car. And therefore, you can also talk for yourself in the car, but if you have like a very heavy camera in front of you and things like these, then it becomes more obvious that you are doing something you maybe are not supposed to do. It's, I think, not forbidden to record video in a car, and many people do it. Nevertheless, what I have now is just a phone, and the phone is mounted on my GorillaPod 5K, and this is mounted onto the middle console, and then I have just a phone in front of me, and it's recording into the driver's seat direction. And this is just the usual setup I would also have to use my phone as a navigation device. And if I have something like this now not recorded, but on my shirt, then it's also not very suspicious. The only thing you have to remember is every time you get out of the car to actually disconnect the whole thing, which I didn't remember when I just got up and got my phone in the back, and therefore I tore the connection apart, which is basically very optimal when it comes to the long-term durability of a microphone like this, because it's very fragile, you could say. So now we discussed the use scenario. We also discussed the Lavalier itself, the Rode Lavalier Go. We discussed the two different types, TRRS and TRS, and what they do to each other. And now, so basically these are all the options. There are a few other options. There is something called the Lavalier Link, which is a little bit more professional. It costs almost twice as much as the Lavalier Go. But I actually looked up reviews on YouTube with sound comparisons between the different mics, between either the SmartLav Plus, so the TRRS mic, or the Lavalier Go, the TRS mic I also use and you are currently listening to. And I didn't hear a difference. So the difference maybe was there, but with my headphones in, I couldn't hear a difference. So therefore, I thought, why not just buy the Go? It's the cheapest one. It's the standard one, many YouTubers have it, and it's also maybe the standard for broadcasting. I don't know specifically about this, but what I do know is in TV productions, many people just have a microphone like this. So the third and final part of this video will be the comparison of the Zoom, the Lavalier, and also the direct recording of the Galaxy S10, the internal mics, which are actually pretty good, pretty decent. The only thing you have to do if you record in a distance like this, talk very loudly. The problem only in the car is that the car noise, depending on the power your car uses, so electrical vehicles are a lot quieter, therefore you can more likely hear the signal to noise, or the signal compared to the noise in the car. At least you have a clearer voice in the car if you run on electric and you record the sound internally with the mics that are in your phone or in your camera. But with a Lavalier mic now, you can record directly from the source, and this gives you the huge benefit of not recording everything around you, because your mouth is now the loudest thing in close proximity to the microphone. So first, you already listened to the microphone. I can also use it and speak maybe directly into it. And now the second part is I will unplug this whole connection thing, and then we will hear the internal microphones, or maybe just first the Zoom, because I'm not sure if it works the other way around. So let's first unplug this microphone and then unplug the Zoom. This now is the Zoom with wind filter, with a stereo mic and a pop filter. So it's basically a pro, the most pro you can get basically at home, I assume. So, I mean, this is a professional audio recording device. It records CD quality, even more than CD quality. It has very good microphones. It also has built-in compression, but I think it's not turned on right now. And, I mean, you cannot go much more professional than this. Of course, you can go a lot more expensive when it comes to the microphones, but most people probably won't hear the difference anyway. So therefore, this is what a very professional audio recording device with an external microphone that's directly connected to this audio device. So basically it's a whole unit, you could say. And now, as a final step, internal microphones of the Galaxy S10. When I got them, I was surprised because the sound compared to my previous phones blew me away, especially if you are in very close proximity, or if you speak louder, which is the thing you have to do, because also the amplitude seems to be leveled down compared to these professional audio devices, or this, or the microphone, so this device has very good amplifiers, which are one of the best things about this, I guess. The phone itself, so if you plug something directly into your phone, either with an adapter or without, the phone actually uses its internal amplifiers. And sometimes they are good, sometimes they are bad. With newer Canon cameras, for example, they seem to be very good, but I haven't tested them. And also, your notebook maybe has not the best amplifiers. Therefore, what you also could do, that's the fourth option, is to record, so basically to use a lavalier mic as an external mic, then run it through the Zoom or the Zoom H1 or a similar audio recording device, and then have the line out connected to the microphone input of your phone. And this would also give you a professional option, with the option of having a cable mic that's directly mounted to your mouth.